Hey everybody, and welcome to another Sentai Seiya video review. Today we are checking out Bunpachy, part of the Zyuden Ryu line from the Zyuden Sentai Kyoryuger Mecha. And so Bunpachy comes packed with his battery. He is Zyuden Ryu number 8. And so on the back of Bunpachy's battery, we have the name of the mecha, Bunpachy obviously. On the front, there is a window that shows us a panel inside of the battery, and on the top we have a little switch that can flip the panel in the window. And so this is the battery when it's ready to be used, brave-in mode obviously, and then the other side is the battery as it lays dormant. Now, one thing I discovered about the batteries this time around is that the inside of the battery in the dormant mode, the outline of the dinosaur actually has is covered in a material, a glow-in-the-dark material, which is pretty neat. I feel a little bit dumb for not having noticed till now, but it is a neat feature of the battery that shows the battery, storing energy or whatnot. So Bunpachy is essentially a mechanical pachycephalosaurus, and this type of dinosaur had long legs and short forearms. So because of this, Bandai used the same body for this that it did for the Parasagon mecha and also for Zactor. So as you can see, very similar bodies. Basically it is a remold of the same bodies that was used for those two mechas. The only thing you're going to notice is some of the detailing on the body, the underside. A lot of those little finer points of the figure are a little bit different. So besides the fact that this is a remold, Bandai did a pretty good job at capturing what a Pachycephalosaurus looks like. And so here's the underside of the mecha. Looks a lot like the underside of Zactor and Parasagon, because again, it is a remold. Some of the lines are a little different, but nothing major. You can see that the arm part of the mecha is visible. It actually kind of goes with the theme. I guess the gray and the black do look pretty well. It doesn't stand out as much as it does with the other mecha that are brightly colored. It doesn't look as good as it does on Parasagon, where it's pretty much hidden because of the fact that it's a black hand on a black mecha. And so the face of this mecha is a little derpy, not one of my favorite faces, but it does have that cool dome head, which is pretty neat, and that's going to play a little bit more into what this figure does in a little bit. So let's get back to the battery and see what kind of sounds we can get from Gabtira. So first let's turn this guy on, and then insert the battery. So fairly standard. You have the Gabtira going Gabricho and then saying the name of the mecha. And now that we've seen the sounds that Gabtira produces when you insert Bunpachy's battery inside, let's check out what the actual mecha does when you put the battery in it. So for this, we open up the mouth, stick the battery in, whoop, almost falling out, and to release the chamber so the battery can slide all the way back in, you have to press this button on the underside. And then when you do so, the dome top comes off of it. Not as impressive as I thought it was going to be. I would have hoped that maybe it could have slid backwards and released it, but you're going to have to do that on your own. And so now that we released the tail weapon of this mecha, you can see that Bunpachy is sporting a hard hat underneath. So it's kind of like one of those Japanese construction hats you see. So even without his hard dome top, he's still got a hard head. So that's the kind of mecha he is, and it's also the kind of owner that he has. Originally, Kyoryuger is a very hard-headed individual, so it's very fitting that he has the hard-headed mecha as his companion. And so once deployed, the weapon of this mecha is basically a flail. It's very long, as you would expect, because the chain part of the flail runs throughout the body all the way to the head of the mecha. And so it's a neat looking weapon, something different. One of the few different things of this mecha. I mean, really, I hate to beat this into the ground, but this is a remold of two mechas that we already have in the line. So the chain on the flail for this mecha is made up of 8 interlocking chain pieces. That's pretty neat because you can get a lot of flexibility with it. Also, you can spin it 360 degrees. because of the yellow connector piece. So for the articulation, I put the tail back on just so we don't have to deal with it flopping around, and I can show you guys the type of articulation this figure has. As I mentioned before, same body as Zaktor and the same body as Parasagan, so you really are going to get pretty much the same kind of articulation. The arms move at the elbow quite a bit, and then the legs also move up and down in the same manner as Zaktor and Parasagan, so nothing really new there. But I mean, what do you expect? It's a remold. And so now let's get this mecha ready to become part of a Kyoryuger combination. This time around, Bunpachy is going to be joined by Ankidon because of the fact that these two mecha combine into a special combination of the Kyoryuger, which we'll see in a little bit. So transformation for this is very simple. Again, pretty much the same as it would be for Zaktor and Parasagan. So first, fold the legs back. Do the same for the other one. And then you just fold the arms in, pop the battery out, and there you are. And so here we are. Ankidon and Bunpachy are ready to join Gabtira to form their special combination of the Kyoryuger. One thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to swap out Bunpachy's battery out for Stegoci's. And this is just so we can hear his sounds, his special attack sounds from the Gabtira electronics once we've already formed the Kyoryuger. This way I don't have to swap out the batteries later on. So let's get to it. So there you have it. As the electronics let us know, this is the Kyoryuger Kung Fu combination. So basically, part of it we've already seen, the Ankidon side, and then the other side, which is composed of Bunpachy, is the new thing to this combination. So as an arm attachment, Bunpachy acts pretty much as the other arm mechas do. It doesn't actually move on its own, but thanks to a shoulder joint on Gabtira, you can move the mecha up. So once you get the ball of the flail off the ground, you can move it around, I guess, if you want. Moves more like a pendulum than a flail, really. Can't really get a whole lot of action going up and down, just because the ball part is just going to stick on the floor, or try to head towards the floor most of the time, I should say. So I guess in that perspective, doesn't really work too much as a flail. And so let's check out the sounds of the battery real quick. You get a different sound when the Kyoryuger is formed if you insert Bunpachy's battery. And as I mentioned earlier, I dummied the battery inside of Bunpachy so that I could have his battery out and ready for this. And so that's pretty much all there is to this mecha. So I hate to repeat myself, but this is essentially just a remold of Zaktor and Parasagan. He's got the fancy flail on the bottom and a hard hat. The faces are different. Like I said, the tail is a little bit different. But for the most part, you're getting pretty much the same toy. At least the same body. To me, it just doesn't feel like it's worth it for the $30 or $40 that this guy goes for. After shipping, you're probably spending somewhere around 50 bucks. So, talking about quite a bit of cash for essentially a remold of something that already exists in the line. I mean, I guess I would only recommend this to people that really like the mecha, or maybe they really like Kyoryuger. Other than that, I personally almost skipped it. But since I wanted to cover all these mechas for CollectionDX, I figured I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to buy this, and hopefully I'll like it a little bit more than I did when I first saw the pictures of this release. And so besides the fact that Bunpachy hasn't won me over as a standalone mecha, when you think about this in the grander scheme of the whole line, the fact that 6 of the 8 mecha that are out right now, at least the 6 mecha that I own in this line, use 2 different body types between those 6 mechas. So 3 of them use one body type and the other 3 use the other body type. It's kind of depressing, the fact that you really don't get much of a new experience with each of these successive mechas. I mean, yeah, you get new weapons and such, but on the whole, I ended up feeling that basically I'm paying, 40, 50 bucks for something that I already kind of own. Takes away that magic of getting a new toy and finding out what it's all about. I, for one, am glad that the next mecha that I'm going to review is going to be, dun dun dun, this guy. So that's pretty much it for this review. Thanks for joining me, and I will be reviewing, obviously, the guy you just saw on screen. I was finally able to get a hold of him. So this has been Sentai for a CollectionDX review. Thanks for joining me.